Well, if you say, oh, I am my brain, how can you be your brain? How can you and your consciousness and everything that makes you you be your brain? Are you simply a number of electrical and chemical processes which occur? Is that all there is? If you want to believe that, that's fine. You believe that. You probably wouldn't even got here in the first place. You'll think, well, I'm talking about it's complete nonsense anyway. But I don't choose to believe that I am just simply my brain. I believe that I am my mind and everything that is my mind. So my mind is my physical body, hello, my brain, and also my non-physical corporeal sense, or the soul. Right, soul or consciousness is pretty much the same thing. Right? If you've ever seen someone pass away, so I've sadly seen two people pass away, both my grandparents. It's quite an odd sensation. I'm not going to lie to you. It's quite an odd sensation because you can see their physical form, but they aren't there. They aren't there. As horrible as it sounds, it's like if you go to a house and there's nobody inside the house. There's no energy there. There's not really any energy there. If you go to somewhere that's haunted, you can feel something might be off with that place. Or if you come into a house or an apartment somewhere and someone just had an argument, you can feel it. And you can sense that, something's not quite right here. That is this level of consciousness around you. That's what that is. You are feeling, you're experiencing these vibrations. That is the power of the mind. That is the power of the mind. The mind is able to access this extra field of information. Now I know this because our entire world is made up of concepts which didn't previously exist. This phone, someone came up with this phone. A number of people came up with this phone, right? They all work together. They all work together to come up with this idea, to come up with this particular way in which they've built technology. The tax system, the legal system, houses, mud huts to houses. How did all that happen? Did that happen via a natural evolution of thought and logic? If you've ever invented something, that doesn't happen. How can you go from newspapers 150 years ago to the mobile phone and the computer now? It's very hard to jump from one logical piece to the next. There's something creative that happens. And I don't believe that our minds are just a configuration of memory in a subconscious. The subconscious, by the way, is simply another word for this ethereal information energy field. That's all it is. So if you imagine that you've got more people, okay? More people. And guess what? They've got this too. They've got access to this too. So you imagine that these funnels go off into infinity. Right? Well, of course, I might be able to understand a piece of this person and a piece of this person, and this person will understand a piece of me too. Because we're sharing that consciousness together. We're all effectively one if you're into that kind of thing. So I believe that the right hemisphere of the brain can access this information field, and our left hemisphere of the brain is all about taking those ideas and those thoughts and turning it into physical, tangible matter. Okay? That's what I believe. Now, am I just speaking a load of absolute nonsense? I really hope not, because there's science that can back me up on this, hopefully. So, where are we? We're, of course, on Earth. That's where we are. We're on the planet Earth. And planet Earth is made up of matter. Now, what is matter? Matter are particles. And smaller than particles, it's called subatomic. Right, smaller than atoms, electrons. Then you have photons and neutrons, and then below that you then have the quantum. And the quantum is the smallest that we can go. The very smallest that we can go. Now, this quantum realm is an interesting place. Why is it an interesting place? Because thought and consciousness affects this quantum realm. Thought and consciousness affects this quantum realm. Let me explain. There was an experiment done many years ago now, where we were looking at light. So the question was, so is light particles or is light a wave? And this was called the double slit experiment. So what happened? If someone wasn't there to observe the experiment, then light were particles. But when someone was there to observe the experiment, was actually there looking, watching, it was a wave. Or one or the other. I can't quite remember which one it was. But the point is that someone looking, watching, observing, fundamentally changed the way that particles functioned on Earth, in our material space. So consciousness, our active viewership, changes the way the universe works. It's very fundamental, foundational level of the quantum realm. Now that is interesting. Something else which they've come up with in science is something called quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement is the concept where you get one particle, this is my one particle, and you could have another particle all the way over here. This could be billions of light years away, millions, billions of light years away. But these particles are linked. Somehow they're linked. And if you do something to this particle, then this particle, billions, billions, billions of light years away, is also simultaneously affected. This is how they're entangled. So you imagine, once again, that you're a human being, and you've got your right hemisphere, your brain, and that hemisphere, the brain, is able to tap into all these different bits and pieces. Well, we're all made up of these quantum particles. It's basically the foundation of the entire universe. Well, it would make sense then that our right hemisphere, the brain, which as we close off the left hemisphere with our senses, the right hemisphere opens up, we're able to access all this. Well, what we're accessing then is we're accessing this quantum realm. We're able to get insight and information we wouldn't near enough. We're able to access insight and information that we wouldn't already have access to if we just use point-by-point logic. Right, that's the left hemisphere. And of course, every human being in history has been able to access this. So you are able to access some of the best writers who's ever lived. And all you have to do is broaden your consciousness to access the minds of these people. That's all you have to do. This is what I believe truly is what imagination is. This is what imagination is. Imagination is our ability to close off that left hemisphere of the brain and open up that right hemisphere to receive all the information of the universe. It is an insight network. That is what this is, fundamentally. Now,